Hi, we are very honored to bring you our first MasterChef interview for restaurantworld.com. Our first interview is with one of the most acclaimed chefs in the world, and that is Mr. Michael Romano, a partner and director of culinary development for Union Square Hospitality Group. Michael joined Union Square Cafe as an executive chef in 1988, and 6 months later, the New York Times elevated the restaurant to 3 stars. Since then, Michael has earned numerous accolades, including James Beard Awards for Who's Who of Food and Beverages in America and Best Chef New York. Under Michael's leadership, the Union Square Cafe received the #1 ranking on the Zagat Survey Most Popular list for an unprecedented 9 times. In the first part of our interview, we will discuss Michael's childhood and his influences as an early chef working in Europe, France particularly, also his travels to South America, his meeting with James Beard, and what drove him to become a chef. We hope you enjoy this first part. My wife Anna, and I, Peter, sat down with Michael for a lengthy time and had a very friendly conversation. Please enjoy.
My family was just my sister and myself, but we had a large extended family. So many cousins and aunts and uncles. And, nothing ever happened without food being an important part of getting together. And of course my grandmother cooked, and she taught my mother how to cook, and they had different styles, but my mother was a good cook. So we always had wonderful food at all of our gatherings and get together. So I think that's where it came to me, to connect good food with family and caring. And my mother used to say, you never go to someone's home without bringing something, some cake or something to eat, or as a sign of hospitality or caring. So I think that's where it came from.
Is that Italian background?
Yes.
What part of Italy?
Yes. My mother's side, they came from near, not too far from Naples,
Okay.
a town called Formia. My father's side, a little further south from Puglia.
Oh, I know Puglia.
Yeah, the heel of the boot.
We have a big community in Venezuela. I'm from Venezuela,
Yes.
South America, so we have a huge Italian community
Is
there.
that right? Yeah.
So that's my level cooking come from the same
Ah, okay.
Italian grandmothers coming to my house to cook with my mother.
Is that right? Ah.
So we all learn how to make the homemade pastas and
Right,
homemade
nice.
sauces, and we have people from Pescara and Naples and Puglia and northern Italy. Like
Pescara, yeah.
it was like
Cool.
my best friend's father was from Pescara.
Mm.
So we just, Italian food was so vivid in my memory as a child. And
It's
making
very
homemade
appealing
pasta.
to people.
Yeah.
It has a very basic, universal appeal, I think, Italian food.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So-
does.
What part of New York were you born?
I was born in Manhattan, in East Harlem,
Okay.
109th Street.
Okay.
And I lived there until I was about, I think I was 13 or so. Then we moved to the Bronx.
Okay.
And then I started to travel when I was very young, actually. Still 19 or 20. I went to Peru. I spent 6 weeks in Peru.
What experience?
Yeah, it was a great experience. Really a great experience. I mean, my first time leaving the country and seeing a whole different, completely different culture, great food, and I had friends there. That's why I went.
Oh, okay.
I stayed with my friends, but such amazing experiences. Of course, Machu Picchu and Cusco and all of that, but it was great. And the food, I remember the food was so good.
What's the most, the food that you like the most from Peru?
I remember ceviche. It was the
Okay,
first time I
ceviche.
ever had ceviche.
Okay.
And, it was so good.
Yes, ceviche is like so good. Even though I cannot eat fish, but I used to be forced to eat seafood. My father's a big food lover,
Yeah.
So they went to Peru. They traveled all over the world.
Mm. Yeah, I'd never had ceviche before that. I don't think I've ever had it as good
Yeah.
as there. And the different rice preparations, like arroz con aceituna,
Right.
and different things like that. The food was colorful and very delicious, and Really, really nice. Yeah, very fresh.
Did you go? That was before college or after college that you traveled to Peru? I guess before. You were too young.
No, well, I guess during, because I was 19. I think I just took some time off. Not sure how I did that. Yeah, because I was only 19.
Yeah.
I turned 20, so I still hadn't finished college.
Were you in culinary school at the time?
No, I was working in a restaurant.
Serendipity?
Yeah. You know, and that's where I met this fellow from Peru who we became friends. And it was after that I quit college and decided to go to New York City Tech. So, yeah, or maybe I had already started in Tech. It was in between. Because I remember going back to Tech.
Okay.
It was very funny because I remember in Peru I bought a poncho.
Okay.
And I remember coming back to Tech and I was wearing it
Oh
and everybody was like, that's very strange.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, I love Peru. I have a lot of people that I know from this. Food is really good. Okay, so James Beard. How did he change your life?
Well, it was a very simple way, but a very important way. When I was working at Serendipity, they introduced me to James Beard was friends with the owners of Serendipity, and he consulted on their menu. We helped them. So one day, one of the owners saw that I had an interest in cooking, and he said, "Well, we'll introduce you to James Beard." So they set up an interview.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great, and I went down to his apartment, and we just talked for a little bit, and the one thing that I remember that he said that really stuck with me, and that's what changed my life, was, he said, well, if you like cooking, why don't you go to school and learn it and make a profession out of it? And it sounds like something very obvious, very simple, but I was already in college at Fordham University. I think I had 2 years done.
Business or law?
No, just liberal arts. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. That's the point. I was taking language and liberal arts. And him saying that made me think, wow, yeah, maybe I'll quit college and I'll enroll in this school. Now, my parents were not happy about that because they really wanted my sister and me to graduate college. But I thought, well, coming from him, that seemed like such good advice, and that little bit of encouragement was enough for me to say, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And so I did, and because I really wasn't enjoying college. I was starting to waste time and not go to class, and my grades were starting to go down. I had always had good grades, but I wasn't involved, So when I got to City Tech, I was really excited. I was learning something that I was really interested in.
Like when you went to the first 6-hour culinary
I was so excited, to be actually spending time in school learning about cooking and all of these things and all the French, because back then it was all about France and French cooking, and it was so exciting, and I really worked hard and tried my best, and it was so much fun to be, I think I had, in all those years of school, 8 years of grammar school, 4 years of high school, 2 years of college, I never really enjoyed it.
Right.
Until I got to Tech and I realized, wow, I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, everything's so... And then you started seeing things about other countries.
And I liked the idea of working with my hands and doing something and making food, and really learning technique and systems. And so it was fun. It was great.
Did you like the pastry class, the first pastry one?
Sure, yeah, I liked everything. Yeah, I liked the thing I didn't like so much was, the accounting classes and all of that. But I'm glad I took it, but...
the technical part was the best.
But the hands-on kitchen, yeah.
That's good.
But I'm glad I took the management courses.
Yeah, very important.
It helps, yeah.
Especially now that you have...
You need to know those things, yeah. And now in my company, it was the chefs have to really be aware of all that.
So you joined Union Square in '88 after traveling all over the world?
Yeah, well, I spent 6 years in France and Switzerland working. So from the college, Professor Ahrens, Tom Ahrens, you probably heard about him.
Yeah.
Did you know him?
I heard of that, and I have Julia Jordan.
Yeah, he was a great
Professor
man.
Barton.
He started this study abroad program, and he and I had a good relationship. He recognized that I was really interested in European culture and wine and food, and so he got me on this program of I went to Bournemouth, England,
Wow.
for a semester to study in a school there, and whenever he was over there, he would stop by and we would go have dinner together, and it was really fun. It was a great education. And then he helped me get into this a job at the Bristol Hotel in Paris as a kind of a stage, It was I think it was 3 or 4 months, but it was a great experience. I owe him so much. He helped me, getting into this classic French kitchen.
Oh my God!
It was such an amazing experience. I mean, it motivated me to learn French, and that's how I learned French. And also the cooking was amazing.
Was very strict, like they always say that French, to work in a French kitchen is. Well, I did it. I did the study abroad program, but I did it for 2 months only.
Where?
In Paris.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What restaurant?
No, I did it with. I went to this culinary. Culinary.
Oh, okay. The school, yeah.
Yeah, and Professor Lorenzini.
Oh, okay.
You remember him?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we went there for 2 months. It was beautiful.
Yeah. No, this was actually working. We had to actually show up to work in the kitchen. It was hard.
Yeah.
They were very tough. Yeah.
I heard that.
Yeah, people were
Stories.
getting hit and yelled at and all the time, but it was.
They throw the pans.
It was scary, but
Right.
it was a good experience.
It showed you the ethics
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
kitchen, how it's supposed to be run.
I mean, I don't agree with those the tactics they use, but it was a good experience.
And then after all those years, you came back. I think you worked in the La Caravelle first.
La Caravelle, yeah, because
Square.
what was interesting was when I was at the Bristol, the owner was André Jamais and his family, the Jamais family. Then they sold that, and André Jamais came here to New York with his family, and he bought half of the La Caravelle,
Okay.
and he was running it with Roger Fessegate, who used to be the chef of La Caravelle. And so when I came, he remembered me,
Oh, okay.
but I was just like the beginning guy, and that's how I got the job at La Caravelle. It was amazing how that happened, one step after another.
So you were the chef de cuisine in La Caravelle?
Yeah, well, I was the chef, I was the executive chef,
Amazing.
So, that was the first time American had that job, because before it, I mean, I was only the third chef, and it was like 20-something years. That restaurant it opened, I think, in 1960, and I came in 84.
Wow.
So it was 24 years, and I was only the third chef.
Oh my God.
Because Fessegate was the chef, the first chef, and then there was André Moizon, was his name, was the second chef, and then I was the third chef, and it was the first time it was a non-French
Wow.
chef at La Caravelle. But and I stayed there for 4 years, and then I came to Union Square Cafe.
What did you change? You wanted something different, or?
I changed a lot of things. I mean, we when I got there, it was 100% tray service. Everything went out of the kitchen on a silver tray, and then it was served in the dining room onto the plate from the guéridon.
Okay.
By the time I left, I mean, we were doing probably half plated in the kitchen. A little more modern style. It was starting to change then. I mean, it had changed, but La Caravelle was still old.
Yeah,
Old-fashioned. And the clientele was changing. The older clientele was, some of them were dying off or not coming back, and so we had we were trying to bring in the younger clientele. So, yeah, we made changes like that. And of course, the cooking was a little different. It was still pretty much French, but other flavors were coming in and other ideas. So,
wasn't the same time that Le Colonial opened? When it was like a different type of restaurant at the same time. Do you remember Le Colonial?
downtown and.
It's a French Asian,
Oh yeah.
and people wanted that. They started to like.
Oh sure, yeah, a lot of things. I mean, Jean Georges arrived, and he
exactly.
was doing his thing, and he was at the Drake Hotel. Yeah, it was a time when the French kitchens were changing.
Exactly.
The old ones were, Lutece closed, and
more the table side. It wasn't as popular.
not done so much anymore. Only like Grenouille, and Grenouille is still around.
Yeah.
That's the only one left.
Le Bernardin is like fish, but they're not so.
It's very modern.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
very modern. It's
Yeah,
really
it's
good
really
too,
good.
but it's
Yeah.
very modern. It's very Japanese actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fresh cuts and the
Yeah.
and the tuna belly. They do a lot of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fresh cuts of. I probably think that you love tuna, belly tuna. You cook?
Sure. Yeah.
And that should never be cooked. I remember that.
Well, I go to Japan a lot, so it's